Good Friday morning, everybody, and welcome to DMS 3000 News Live, episode number 18 for Friday, July 7th, 2023. Hopefully, you guys are doing really good throughout this week as we are going ahead and wrap up the week for DMS 3000 News Live, and I am your host, Brandon Martin. And for today's show, before we turn things over to Jason DeCanio this coming Monday and Tuesday, we will be discussing the resume do's and don'ts for a strategic job search in the year 2023. That'll be at the 5:30 time slot. Then at the 6 o'clock hour, we look at the 18th anniversary of the London bombings. And at the 6:30 hour, we will be wrapping up with a happy 83rd birthday to Ringo Starr. Plus headlines, sports, and what day is today. We will go ahead and get started on July 7th on a Friday, 2023. To look at the headlines. A grant program gives states a path around a 1996 federal rule that prohibits the CDC from advocating gun control. A rule critics say has had a chilling effect on studying who has been shot and how. At least 9 bills introduced in Congress take aim at pharmacy benefit managers, the powerful middlemen that channel prescription drugs to patients. Here's what the fuss is all about. Violence has erupted across France after the fatal police shooting of a teen. President Macron has, in part, blamed video games, adding him to the list of leaders who have cited the debunked theory. Scenes modeling sustainable behaviors or highlighting the impact of climate change have been cropping up lately in everything from cooking shows to extreme sports series. OceanGate did not offer additional details about pausing its operations. Its CEO, Stockton Rush, was among the 5 people killed when the company's Titan submersible imploded in June. The first drug found to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease has been granted full approval by the Food and Drug Administration. Amusements and attractions at parks and carnivals are regulated and expected. Although some accidents do occur, fatalities are rare. The giant spherical structure displays a variety of animations, such as eyeballs, planets, and fireworks. It is being billed as the world's largest spherical structure and the largest LED screen. The Hong Kong-born vocalist and songwriter became the first person of Chinese descent to perform at the Oscars with a nominated song from the popular martial arts film, which was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon singer Coco Lee dies at the age of 48 years old. Automakers are building more electric vehicles, but the EPA wants to set rules pushing them to go even faster. Environmental groups say that's essential. Traditional car makers say it's not feasible. A magistrate judge is wrestling with whether a U.S. Navy veteran accused of disorderly conduct and other charges should be detained pending trial. He was arrested near the Obama residence last week. A new government study estimates that at least 45% of the nation's tap water could be contaminated. with one or more forms of PFAs. Yes, here's what to do if you're worried about what's in your faucet. Film regulators in the Philippines are reviewing Barbie after a senator said a scene depicts a map that China uses to lay claim to nearly all of the South China Sea. Across the street from the jazz icon's home in Queens, a site of the pilgrimage for fans from around the world, sits the new Louis Armstrong Center, which brings his 65,000 item archive back to the block. That's in contrast to the deal worked out after the failed uprising last month. The Kremlin had said that the Wagner Group leader would be exiled to neighboring Belarus but would not face charges. Meta's new app, Threads, may be the latest in a long string of Twitter's competitors, but it appears to have an edge in the game thanks to its ties to Instagram. Over 30 million users have joined. The Supreme Court delivered a historic victory to the anti-abortion movement, but many still feel their work is far from complete and are seeking new strategies to stop abortion in all 50 states. Excuse me. Walt Nauta, an aide to Donald Trump, was indicted with the former president for his alleged role in mishandling classified documents. He entered a not guilty plea in Miami federal court on Thursday. More than 120 prisoners held at a special unit in Thompson Penitentiary reported mistreatment, a Washington Lawyers Committee report says. And more than 100 countries ban such weapons because unexploded bomblets can be picked up by civilians by injury or death. An announcement is expected today. And that is the headlines for Friday, July 7th, 2023. And now on to the news for MLB. That is happening. A little bit standby for that. There we go. Okay. Is Skinner's best draft pitching prospect ever, ranking the top 10. Paul Skenes just completed one of the most memorable college pitching seasons ever. Skenes led Louisiana State to a national championship and won most outstanding player honors at the College World Series after earning Southeastern Conference Pitcher of the Year accolades. He topped NCAA Division I in strikeouts, 209, eclipsing Ben McDonald's SEC and school records. Strikeouts per 9 innings, 15.3, and whip .75. While ranking second in victories, 12 with an ERA of 1.69 and opponent average 165. The only reason is to not take Skenes. Number one is philosophical, because you won't take a pitcher. A national cross-checker said, I'm taking Skenes. The size, the command, the velocity, the slider, the way he pitches with the good killer instinct. It's hard to pass on that. Without a doubt, Skenes is the best pitching prospect in this year's draft. The question is he the best ever since MLB introduced its draft in 1965? We should wait and see what happens. We all know Steven Strasburg, San Diego State #1 overall in 2009 in Nationals. We all know Paul Skenes, Louisiana State, 2023. Mark Pryor, Southern California, number 2 overall in 2001 with Cubs. Ben McDonald, Louisiana State, number 1 overall, 1989, Baltimore Orioles. Josh Beckett, Spring, Texas High School, number 2 overall, 1999 with the Florida Marlins. Todd Van Pompey, Martin High School in Texas, number 14 overall, 1990 in the Oakland Athletics. Brian Taylor, East Carteret, North Carolina High School, number 1 overall, 1991 New York Yankees. David Clyde, Westchester High School in Texas, number 1 overall, 1973. Floyd Bannister, Arizona State, number 1 overall, 1976 Astros. Bert Hooton, Texas, number 2 overall, June secondary, 1971 with Cubs. Why the Angels are unlikely to trade Ohtani. We all know Mike Trout will miss the next month, perhaps longer. Angels were just swept by the Padres. Lost 11 of 15. So basically, what does all this mean for Shohei Ohtani's immediate future? And that's basically the main question to everybody, which is nothing. Few in the baseball industry see the Angels' precipitous fall as an indication they will deal Ohtani prior to the August 1st trade deadline. In the vacuum, superstar players are expiring contracts are traded for the highest return, but the Angels don't operate in a vacuum. Excuse me. They play on planet Earth, where Ohtani is one of the most unique athletes ever. Sure, the possibility of acquiring a collection of young talent is tantalizing. The Angels have 2 prospects among the history top 100, according to MLB Pipeline. The higher rank of the 2, catcher Logan O'Hoppe is recovering from left shoulder injury. To be sure, the club's baseball operations will staff workshop. Don't know what the hell happened, but it's okay. To workshop trade scenarios if the Angels' slide continues. That is the job of a front office, but presenting an acceptable deal to ownership and receiving approval for it is another matter entirely. We know Henderson hammers Yanks in Baltimore's Bronx blowout. Excuse Gunnar Henderson. If he was at all tired by the end of the 4th inning, Thursday night game at Yankee Stadium, the 22-year-old Orioles rookie had already put in a full night's work by that point. Here were Henderson's stats heading into the 5th. 4 for 4 with 2 singles, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. I felt like I had a lot of at-bats at the game wasn't even halfway over, Henderson said. Henderson set the tone for the night by opening the contest with his first big league leadoff homer, and Baltimore cruised to a 14-1 rout of New York. The Orioles set season highs in both runs and hits, 20, to earn a split of the 4-game series. The story of this game can best be told with stats and numbers, so here are 10 impressive facts from the O's most lopsided win of the season thus far. Henderson set career highs in both hits, 4, and RBIs, 5, while notching his first multi-homer game. Henderson was the second player in Orioles history since 1954 with 4 hits in the first 4 innings, along with Cedric Mullins on April 4, 2021 at Boston. Henderson was the first MLB player with 4 hits and 2 homers through 4 innings since Matt Carpenter for the Cardinals versus the Cubs on July 20th, 2018. Henderson was the second Baltimore rookie with 4 hits and 5 RBIs, along with Chris Richard 4 hits and 6 RBIs versus Cleveland on September 3rd, 2000. We'll group these 4 facts together as Henderson was the clear star of the night. Brendan Hyde, the manager of the Orioles, said this: "That was amazing. He got so much power to be able to go opposite field the way he did in the top of the first. He was just spraying the ball around hard. He was a really exciting young player with a ton of tools." Anderson, who also hit a 3-run homer during a 5-run fourth, is having a remarkable turnaround to his rookie year. After ending May with a 201, 332, 370 slash line, he won American League Rookie of the Month for June by slashing 320, 354, 640 in 20 games. Through his first 6 games of July, he has a 296 batting average, 345 on-base percentage, and 519 slugging. While Henderson has been raking for more than a month, Thursday's first 4 innings may have marked his most impressive stretch yet. Can Orioles teammate Ryan O'Hearn remember seeing a teammate anywhere, anytime have a better start to a game? Basically, number 5, Baltimore 7-run third was its second biggest inning of the season. The only larger one was the 8-run 7th, which also occurred at Yankee Stadium on May 24th. The Orioles' 8 hits in the third were their most in the inning this year. The O's had no trouble against Yankee starter Luis Severino, 7 earned runs on 10 hits in 2 2/3 inning, and they kept hitting right after the right-hander departed. To follow up its massive third, Baltimore scored 5 more runs in the fourth to push its lead to 13-0. The Orioles had 8 or more hits in each of the 4 games at Yankee Stadium, and 10 or more in 3 of them. After recording fewer than 8 in 4 of their previous 5 games, number 8, Baltimore scored 20 runs over its final 2 games versus New York. It played at only 18 total runs over its previous 7 games, 6 of which were losses. It's very fun because we were kind of scuffling there for a little bit, offensive-wise, Henderson said. To be able to come out and do that in a big way and split the series on the road was really big. Number 9, it was only the 9th time in Orioles history since 1954 that the team scored 14 or more runs in a game against the Yankees. The most recent occurrence had been a 14-5 win on April 8, 2014 at Yankee Stadium. And finally, number 10, and if the Yankees had swept the 4-game series, which they were halfway of doing, they would have tied the Orioles in the standings. Instead, Baltimore, 51-35, the top team in the AL wildcard race, maintained its 4-game gap with New York. A little bit of a gut check. Those first 2 games, O'Hearn said, really just awesome the way the guys showed up to the 3rd game last Wednesday and just completely forgot about the last 2. Just showed up fresh day, competed our butts off. Well, we have Lindor's 5-hit night. Keys Mets sweep over the Diamondbacks. For weeks, negatively overwhelmed the Mets. Even positive signs came complete with asterisks as the Mets kept losing and losing and losing and losing. Then came this week in the desert, and more specifically, the Colorados that occurred Thursday at Chase Field. To list all the encouraging features of the Mets' 9-0 win over the Diamondbacks would be to risk running out of space on the internet. To catalog the auspiciousness of this 5-game winning streak would require more time than most have available. It would be both easy and appropriate to harp on rookie catcher Francisco Alvarez, who has homered in 4 of his last 5 games, or Carlos Carrasco, who delivered his finest outing of the season. It wasn't close. Or Pete Alonso, who continued prepping for the home run derby with his 26 long ball, or perhaps it would be most apt to focus on the embodiment of this Mets turnaround, Francisco Lindor, who was so sick in the hours leading up to Wednesday's game that he required intravenous fluids just to take the field. And let's go ahead and go over the scores from last night's and early games from yesterday. And also we'll go over the games that will be happening today. The Reds beating the Nationals in the final 10 innings, 5-4. The Tigers beating the Athletics 9-0. The Brewers beating the Cubs 6-5. The Blue Jays beating the White Sox in the final 11 innings, 6-2. And then the Blue Jays from game number 2 beating the White Sox again, 5-4. Phillies beating the Rays in the final 11 innings, 3-1. Cardinals beating the Marlins 3-0. The Orioles beat the New York Yankees 14-1. And I gotta say it. The Yankees lose. The Guardians beating the Royals 6-1. The Red Sox beating the Rangers 10-6. The Mariners back at 500 once again by beating the Astros to start off their series 5-1. And Jason Canio's going to be really happy that the New York Mets once again beating the Diamondbacks 9-0. And the Los Angeles Dodgers beating the Pirates 5-2. And let's go to today's games and the times. Blue Jays against the Tigers at 6:40 p.m. and that will be in Eastern. Same thing for the Braves and the Rays at the same time. Same time, Phillies and Marlins. And at 7:05 p.m., we have the Texas Rangers going up against the Washington Nationals. Same time, got the Cubs and the Yankees. At 7:10, we got the Royals against the Guardians. At the same time, we have the Athletics against the Red Sox. At 8:10 p.m., we have the Mariners and the Astros continue their series. Same thing, the Orioles and the Twins. Also, the Cardinals and White Sox, along with the Reds and Brewers. And at 9:40, we have the Pirates and the Diamondbacks, along with the same time with the Mets and Padres. We have at 10:10 p.m., we have the Los Angeles Angels going up against the Los Angeles Dodgers. At 10:10 p.m. And good morning to Diggs BTW7. Welcome. Hopefully you're doing well. And finally, at 10:15 p.m., we have the Rockies and the Giants go at it. And right now, it is 5:25, 5 minutes before, as we'll go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when we come back, we will be doing What Day Is Today. And we'll go ahead and get to our we'll go to the first topic, and we'll go and do that right after this.
The Buzzer Academy of Hosting presents Tossing to Commercial.
We'll continue playing fast, but in just a moment, right after these messages.
We've got these messages for you. So come on back. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll pause with these words.
Don't you dare go away.
Don't go away. Don't go away.
You say you want more? We'll be right back with more.
For more lessons, keep it right here on Buzzer.
Check your cable listing for Buzzer or watch WBNX 55.2.
The government says we can make our Hebrew National Franks from frozen beef. We don't. They say we can add meat byproducts. We don't. They say we can add meat fillers. We can't. We're kosher and have to answer to an even higher authority. New Hebrew National Light Franks. 100% fresh kosher beef, 100% Hebrew National delicious. With less fat, sodium, and calories. Original or new light. We answer to a higher authority.
Melissa, what time is it? I don't know.
You mean to tell me you got 4 watches on that arm and not one of them tells the time?
It's a look, Dad.
A look?
A look.
Does that explain the war paint around the eyes?
It's the latest eyeliner, Dad.
So, Michael, when did you get electrocuted?
That's Moose, Jerry. My brother, the fashion victim.
Me? Come on, you use so much hairspray they could hold you solely responsible for the hole in the ozone layer.
Why do I get the feeling I'm putting the bill for you two to look like a couple of yo-yos?
Because you are, dear. Where's the dog? Getting his legs waxed.
Pass the iced tea.
4C, the official iced tea of the Davis family.
Could switching to Geico really save you 15% or more on car insurance? Does a former drill sergeant make a terrible therapist?
And that's why yellow makes me sad, I think.
That's interesting. You know what makes me sad?
You do! Maybe we should chug on over to Mamby-Pamby land, where maybe we can find some self-confidence for you, you jackwagon!
Tissue? Cry, baby.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Go meat! Go meat! I said a beef hot links!
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 I said a brat beef kielbasa hot smoked sausage cheddar wurst!
I said a brat beef kielbasa hot smoked sausage cheddar wurst!
When I say Hillshire, you say farm! Hillshire!
Farm! Go meat!
This is just a flat old tater chip. It's just flat. It's just tater. It's just an old chip, but not this. Is a new Cajun spice ruffle potato chip. Look at them ridges full of cayenne pepper, onion, garlic, paprika. Oh, this is Cajun spice. Ain't nothing flat about it.
Try new Cajun Spice Ruffles brand potato chips with a feisty, spicy bite in every crunch. It's the new taste that won't leave you flat.
Oh, boy, they want them with our guarantee.
You've got it made.
Fast from the oven, fast together in the microwave.
In just 10 minutes, you've got it made.
There's only one pie with this much real fruit and a crust this tender and flaky in its own microwave pan.
Pie in minutes, pie in minutes. In just 10 minutes, you've got it made. Yeah.
And we welcome you back for DMS 3000 News Live for July 7th, 2023. And once again, I am Brandon Martin, your host for this. And let's go ahead and take a look. What day is today? We currently have 18 holidays as listed. We'll go ahead and get started with the National Strawberry Sundae Day. Hot summer days call for a sweet, refreshing treat. Yummy. World Chocolate Day. Oh, yes. Yum, yum. On July 7th, we celebrate one of life's greatest luxuries for World Chocolate Day. Alice Springs Show Day. We celebrate one of the biggest social and agricultural highlights in Australia. Comic Sans Day. Love it or hate it, we have all the tips and information on this controversial typeface. Georgetown Heritage Day in Penang. Celebrate Malaysian culture, history, and Penang's Colonial Legacy on Georgetown Heritage Day. Global Forgiveness Day. Let go of feelings of anger and resentment and create a world of healing. International Peace and Love Day. Join the rest of the world to spread peace and love for the good of humanity. National Day of Rock and Roll. Grab your rocker garb and get ready to rock and roll to some rhythmic beats. National Dive Bar Day. Here's a deep dive into dive bars and how best to celebrate these establishments. National Dora Day. Dora. Do you know someone named Dora? Show them how much you care this National Dora Day. National Father-Daughter Take a Walk Day. Fathers and daughters spent some quality time together by going out for a walk today. National Koi Day. Celebrate the magnificent fish we call koi. This National Koi Day right here with us. National Macaroni Day. Yes. Macaroni is reportedly the most common form of pasta in the U.S. Saba Saba Day in Tanzania. Wondering what Saba Saba is about? Join us as we explore Tanzania and its story. Solomon Islands Independence Day. Prepare to explore the little-known history of the Solomon Islands and its culture. Star Festival. Star Festival celebrates the long-awaited union of two lovers with lights, confetti, and merriment. Tanabata. Probably butcher it, but that's okay. On the sacred night with the stars of the Milky Way illuminating us, we celebrate Tanabata. And finally, Tell the Truth Day. Truthfulness and honesty are the foundations of living with integrity. And that'll be what day is today. Now let's look ahead with the resume do's and don'ts for a strategic job search in this year of 2023. When the labor market changes, so do the expectations. This year, you can't take your job search materials for granted. Many professionals have a fixed idea of what resumes should and shouldn't do. Yet, there is conflicting information out there for the average professional to discern what holds merit, especially after so much change in the job landscape. In the end, resumes aren't a government document. There isn't one way to complete a resume. Everyone you ask will all have a different preferred method for showcasing a professional's career. However, there are some best practices to help a savvy job seeker stand out from the crowd. Resume tips and tricks for 2023 won't radicalize your job search, nor should they. Resumes should remain clean of errors, concise, and be outcome-oriented, but keep in mind what has changed about the job market landscape. The emergence of artificial intelligence, the modes by which people work, and also the rise of freelance work and the gig economy. How can your job materials be optimized this year to stay relevant and stand out in a competitive field? Addressing the elephant in the room, artificial intelligence in the job market. Everyone is talking about it, and many are worried, but it's here. Whether we like it or not, AI is good at impersonating human intelligence. Applicant tracking systems already hindered the job search process. But with AI revolutionizing work, now is the time to address how AI can impact your resume. Here's the first don't. Don't rely on AI to generate your job search materials. Including relevant keywords in your resume is great, but generating content with tools like ChatGPT risk overusing buzzwords and generic phrases. ATS algorithms, which are also informed by AI, can recognize excessive keyboard stuffing, which can eliminate you from the pool. The first do is emphasize your AI-related skills on your resume. Our daily lives are saturated with technology, so it's easy to take the tools we use for granted, but every device and system demands know-how. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are now highly in-demand skills. Other skills recruiters are looking to see on resume include natural language processing, predictive analysis, data mining and analytics, decision trees, supervised and unsupervised learning, and deep learning frameworks. Remember to include these keywords naturally to avoid modeling the behaviors of AI generators. Incorporate specific programs and systems used in results-oriented bullet points, describe relevant projects, and provide concrete examples of how these skills help achieve positive outcomes. Work modalities on resumes and what employers want to see. Another significant transformation within the job market is the rise of remote and hybrid work. Resumes, as recent as 5 years ago, are now outdated because they were built entirely for traditional work arrangements. Employers and job seekers alike are leveraging hybrid work modalities to negotiate employment. More and more organizations are structuring operations around these new work modalities. Can't even pronounce that, but that's okay. The second don't. Overlook how different work modalities translate to soft skills. Maybe it doesn't take a genius to use communications platforms like Zoom. But let's face it, from a business and job security perspective, the pandemic hit mid-level managers hard. Even if job security has since improved, recruitment teams still highly desire soft skills like flexibility and adaptability. The second do is highlight specific outcomes and achievements related to different work environments. Well, creative solutions help you navigate your team through hybrid and remote work. More specifically, incorporate metrics in your resume that showcase what these innovative solutions are accomplished. Don't forget the vital programs and systems that manage remote work, like Slack, Asana, and Basecamp. If you aren't applying to a management or leadership position, highlight the specific achievements, projects, or programs you've completed while working in a remote or hybrid setup. If your situation was particularly challenging, you could include details about those challenges and how you mitigated them, i.e., helping your team access digital resources while mitigating challenges such as connectivity issues and compatibility concerns. avoiding resume pitfalls, explaining the side hustle. With employers providing flexible work options, more and more professionals are turning to the gig economy to supplement their income. Believe it or not, you can use your freelance and gig work experiences to highlight your ability to work full-time. The third don't. Confuse your readers by providing an inconsistent work history. Although freelance and gig work offers flexible and diverse experiences, your work history should remain coherent. Provide a clear timeline of your freelance and contractual obligations. Organize projects chronologically or by relevance, and be prepared to account for significant gaps or confusing overlaps. The third do: consolidate, streamline, and know when to emphasize. Remembering some traditional expectations still exist for resume building. Readability is critical because recruiters and hiring managers make quick candidate decisions within the hiring process. If you have had multiple short-term jobs or projects, consolidate them under one title or heading. List your freelance and self-employment experiences under a single company and or your name. Finally, highlight your transferable skills through bullet point outcomes and accomplishments. The job search landscape continuously evolves, demanding strategic resume writing approaches. Addressing the present realities of work can help hopeful job seekers craft strategic resumes that help them stand out from the crowd. If you aren't quite ready to make the career jump, take the time to enhance these skills and experiences now to help you prepare in advance. And that will be basically it for the resume do's and don'ts for a strategic job search for 2023. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the weather, see what we have here on Friday for today. All right, load up. Come on. There you go. Okay. We look at the weather today across the country. We look at the East Coast. We have some low 80s, mid to upper 80s, low 90s. Caribou at 87, Boston at 89, New York at 85, Buffalo 80, Washington, D.C. at 89, same with Norfolk at 89, Charlotte 91, Atlanta 88, Jacksonville 92, Tampa 90, and Miami at 91. We look at the Midwest. We have temperatures from the mid 70s, upper 70s, low 80s, upper 80s, and close to mid 90s. Sault Ste. Marie at 75, Detroit at 82, Chicago at 76, St. Louis at 87, Cincinnati 89, Memphis 86, New Orleans at 93. We look at the Central. We have some from the upper 70s, low 80s. Then along with that, we have some with the upper 70s, we also have close to mid 80s, low 90s, upper 90s, upper hundreds. International Falls at 77, chance of showers. Minneapolis at 80, Minot at 77, Rapid City 75, Kansas City 84, Oklahoma City 91, 97 in Dallas. Houston, 91. Brownsville at 92. Same with San Antonio. Lubbock at 98. El Paso at 108. And getting into the West Coast, we look at temperatures from the upper 70s, low 80s. We also have some mid 70s, mid to upper 90s, upper 80s, some one for low 60s, upper 70s, up the low 110s, mid hundreds. We look at Cut Bank at 79 degrees, Billings at 80, Denver at 75, Albuquerque at 97, Seattle at 79, Boise 94, Medford 93, Reno 86, Salt Lake City 95, Las Vegas at 105. We also have San Francisco at 63, Los Angeles at 77, Phoenix at 112, 112 degrees today. For the cities that mentioned, as usual, for Las Vegas, Phoenix, and El Paso, like I said before many times, stay cool inside. Don't go in that hot weather unless it's necessary. But if you are wanting to go out, please use sunscreen. That is key, which you don't want to get sunburned, get skin cancer. That is the most important thing to do if you do go outside in that hot weather. But basically, that'll be doing it for the weather. And we'll go ahead, and right now it's at 5:48 now. We'll go ahead and take another commercial break. And when we come back, we'll look at the 18th anniversary of the London bombings. As we'll get to be coming back for DMS 3000 News Live right after this. We'll be back.
At the river mouth, the bears catch only the tastiest, most tender salmon. Which is exactly what we at John West want. John West endured the worst to bring you the best.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Ship my pants? Right here? Ship my pants, you're kidding. You can ship your pants right here. You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow, I just may ship my pants.
Yeah, ship your pants. Billy, you can ship your pants too.
I can't wait to ship my pants, Dad.
I just shipped my pants and it's very convenient.
Very convenient.
I just shipped my drawers.
I just shipped my nightie.
I just shipped my bed.
If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people. One will, one resolve, one cause. themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Mr. Cow.
Yes?
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I always end up biting. Ask Mr. Fox, for he's much cleverer than I.
Mr. Fox, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Why don't you ask Mr. Turtle, for he's been around a lot longer than I. Me? I bite.
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl, for he is the wisest of us all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a smart owl.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Mr. Green? Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help?
Mm-mm.
I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay.
A Coke and a smile makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice.
See you around.
That's the way it should be. I like to see
Hey, kid.
the whole world is smiling with me. Coca-Cola as life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
Ow! So you think Santa will like these red and green M&Ms?
I don't know. I never met the guy. He does exist!
They do exist. Santa?
Santa. Anyway, it is at 5:53 right now, 7 minutes before 6 o'clock. Welcome back to DMS 3000 News Live for episode 18, July the 7th, 2023. And once again, I'm Brennan Martin. And we'll go ahead now and go over the 18th anniversary of the London bombings. The 7th of July 2005 London bombings, also referred to as 7/7, were a series of 4 coordinated suicide attacks carried out by Islamic terrorists in London that targeted commuters traveling on the city's public transport system during the morning rush hour. 3 terrorists separately detonated 3 homemade bombs in quick succession aboard London Underground trains across the city, and later a 4th terrorist detonated another bomb on a double-decker bus in Tavistock Square. The train bombings occurred on the Circle Line near Aldgate and Edgware Road, and on the Piccadilly Line near Russell Square. Apart from the bombers, 52 UK residents of 18 different nationalities were killed and more than 7 were injured in the attacks, making it the UK's deadliest terrorist incident since the 1988 bombing of the Pan Am Flight 103 near Lockerbie, as well as the country's first Islamist suicide attack. The explosions were caused by improvised explosive devices made from triacetone triperoxide packed into backpacks. The bombings were followed 2 weeks later by a series of attempted attacks that failed to cause injury or damage. At 8:49 a.m. on Thursday, July 7, 2005, 3 bombs were detonated on London Underground trains within 50 seconds of each other. The first bomb exploded on a 6-car London Underground Circle Line train, number 204, traveling eastbound from between Liverpool Street and Aldgate. At the time of the explosion, the train's third car was approximately 100 yards along the tunnel from Liverpool Street. The parallel track of the Hammersmith and City line between Liverpool Street and Aldgate East was also damaged in the blast. The second bomb exploded in the second car of another 6-car London Underground Circle Line train, number 216, which had just left Edgware Road and was traveling westbound towards Paddington. An eastbound Circle Line train that was passing next to the bomb train was also damaged, as well was a wall that later collapsed. A third bomb was detonated on a 6-car London Underground Piccadilly Line train, number 311, traveling southbound from King's Cross, St. Pancras to Russell Square. The device exploded approximately 1 minute after the service departed King's Cross, by which time it had traveled about 500 yards. The explosion occurred at the rear of the first car of the train, causing severe damage to the rear of that car, as well as the front of the second one. The surrounding tunnel also sustained damage. It was originally thought that there had been 6, rather than 3, explosions on the underground network. The bus bombing brought the reported total to 7. That was clarified later in the day. The incorrect reports were later attributed to the fact that the blast occurred on trains that were between stations, causing wounded passengers to emerge from both stations, giving the impression that there was an incident at each. Police also revised the timings of the 2 blasts. Initial reports had indicated that they occurred during a period of almost half an hour. This was due to initial confusion at London Underground, where the explosions were originally believed to have been caused by power surges. An early report made in the minutes after the explosions involved a person under a train, while another described a derailment, both of which did occur, but only as a result of the explosions. And I'll go ahead and take a little drink on that one. Continue. There we go. Continuing on, a code Amber Alert was declared by LU at 9:19 a.m. And LU began to close operations by ordering trains to continue to the next station, and once there, suspending services. The effects of the explosions varied due to the differing characteristics of the tunnels in which each occurred. The Circle Line is a cut-and-cover subsurface tunnel, about 7 meters deep. As the tunnel contains 2 parallel tracks, it is relatively wide. The 2 explosions on the Circle Line were probably able to vent their force into the tunnel, reducing their destructive force. The Piccadilly Line is a deep level tunnel up to 30 meters below the surface and with narrow single track tubes and just 15 centimeters clearances. This confined space reflected the blast force concentrating its effect. Almost 1 hour after the attacks on the London Underground, a 4th bomb exploded on the top deck of the number 30 double-decker bus, traveling its route from Marble Arch to Hackney Wick. The bus left Marble Arch at 9 a.m. and arrived at Euston bus station at 9:35, where crowds of people had been evacuated from the tube and boarded buses as an alternative method of transport. The explosion at 9:47 a.m. in Tavistock Square ripped off the roof and destroyed the rear portion of the bus. The blast took place near BMA House, the headquarters of the British Medical Association, on Upper Woburn Place. A number of doctors and medical staff in or near that building were able to provide immediate emergency assistance. Witnesses reported seeing papers and half a bus flying through the air. 2 injured bus passengers said that they saw a man exploding in the bus. The location of the bomb inside the bus meant the front of the vehicle remained mostly intact. Most of the passengers at the front of the top deck survived, as did those near the front of the lower deck, including the driver. But those at the rear of the bus suffered more serious injuries. With several individuals being blown from the bus, the extent of the damage caused to the victims' bodies resulted in a lengthy delay in announcing the death toll from the bombing, while the police determined how many bodies were present and whether the bomber was one of them. Several passersby were also injured by the explosion, and surrounding buildings were damaged by debris. The bomb bus was subsequently covered with tarpaulin and removed for forensic examination at a secure Ministry of Defense site. A replacement bus was named Spirit of London. The 52 victims were of diverse backgrounds. All were UK residents, including exchange students. The majority lived in or near London. Their ages ranged from 20 to 60 years old, with an average age of 34. 32 victims were British, while 1 victim each came from Afghanistan, France, Ghana, Grenada, India, Iran, Israel, Italy, Kenya, Mauritius, New Zealand, Nigeria, Romania, Sri Lanka, and Turkey. 3 victims were Polish nationals, while 1 victim was a Vietnamese-born Australian, and 1 held dual American Vietnamese citizenship. 7 of the victims were killed at Aldgate, 6 at Edgware, 26 at King's Cross, and 13 at Tavistock Square. The 4 suicide bombers were later identified as Mohammed Siddique Khan, age 30. He lived in Beeston, Leeds, with his wife and young child, where he worked as a learning mentor at a primary school. Khan detonated his bomb at the number 216 train, killing 7 people, including himself. Shehzad Tanweer, age 22. He lived in Leeds with his mother and father, working in a fish and chip shop. He detonated his bomb on the number 204 train. 8 people, including Tanweer, were killed by the explosion. The explosion also injured future Paralympic athlete Martine Wright, who was commuting to work. Jermaine Lindsay, age 19. He lived in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire, with his pregnant wife and young son. He detonated his device on the 311 train. The blast killed 27 people, including himself. And Hasib Hussain, age 18. He lived in Leeds with his brother and sister-in-law. Hussain detonated his bomb on the bus. 14 people, including himself, died in the explosion at Tavistock Square. 3 of the bombers were British-born sons of Pakistani immigrants. Lindsay was a convert born in Jamaica. Charles Clark, Home Secretary when the attacks occurred, described the bombers as cleanskins, a term describing them as previously unknown to authorities until they carried out their attacks. On the day of the attacks, all four have traveled to Luton, Bedfordshire, by car, then to London by train. They were filmed on CCTV, arriving at King's Cross Station at about 8:30 a.m. Two of the bombers made videotapes describing their reasons by becoming what they called soldiers in a videotape broadcast by Al Jazeera on September 1st, 2005. Mohammed Siddiqui Khan described his motivation. The tape had been edited and mentioned Al-Qaeda members Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. Describing them as today's heroes, Khan's tape said, and I quote, "And I and thousands like me, are forsaking everything for what we believe. Our drive and motivation doesn't come from tangible commodities that this world has to offer. Our religion is Islam, obedience to the one true God and following the footsteps of the final prophet messenger. Your democratically elected governments continuously perpetuate atrocities against my people all over the world, and your support of them makes you directly responsible, just as I am directly responsible for protecting and avenging my Muslim brothers and sisters. Until we feel security, you will be our targets. And until you stop the bombing, gassing, imprisonment, and torture of my people, we will not stop this fight. We are at war, and I am a soldier. Now, you too will taste the reality of this situation." And the tape continued, I myself, I make dua to Allah to raise me amongst those whom I love, like the prophets, the messengers, the martyrs, and today's heroes, like our beloved Sheikh Osama bin Laden, Dr. Ayman al-Zawahiri, and Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, and all the other brothers and sisters that are fighting of this cause. On July 6, 2006, a videotaped statement of Shehzad Tanweer was broadcasted by Al Jazeera in the video, which may have been edited to include remarks by al-Zawahiri. Tanweer said, "What you have witnessed now is only the beginning of a string of attacks that will continue and become stronger until you pull your forces out of Afghanistan and Iraq, and until you stop your financial and military support to America and Israel." Tanweer argued that the non-Muslims of Britain deserve such attacks because they voted for a government which continues to oppress our mothers, children, brothers, and sisters in Palestine, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Chechnya. Initial reports suggested that a power surge on the underground power grid had caused explosions in power circuits. This was later ruled out by power suppliers National Grid. Commentators suggested that the explanation had been made because of the bomb damage to power lines along the tracks. The rapid series of power failures caused by the explosions are powered and being ended by means of switches at the locations to permit evacuation looks similar from the point of view of a control room operator to a cascading series of circuit breaker operations that would result from a major power surge. A couple of hours after the bombings, Home Secretary Charles Clark confirmed the incidents were terrorist attacks. Although there were security alerts at many locations throughout the United Kingdom, no terrorist incidents occurred outside central London. Suspicious packages were destroyed by uncontrolled explosions in Edinburgh, Brighton, Coventry, Southampton, Portsmouth, Darlington, and Nottingham. Security across the country was increased to the highest alert level. The Times reported on July 17, 2005, that police sniper units were following as many as a dozen Al-Qaeda suspects in Britain. The covert armed teams were ordered to shoot to kill if surveillance suggested that a terror suspect was carrying a bomb and he refused to surrender if challenged. A member of the Metropolitan Police Specialist Firearms Command said, "These units are trained to deal with any eventuality. Since the London bombs, they have been deployed to look at certain people." Vodafone reported that its mobile telephone network reached capacity at about 10 a.m. on the day of the bombings, and it was forced to initiate emergency procedures to prioritize emergency calls. Other mobile phone networks are reported failures. The BBC speculated that the telephone system was shut down by security services to prevent the possibility of mobile phones being used to trigger bombs. Although this option was considered, it became clear later that the intermittent unavailability of both mobile and landline telephone systems was due only to excessive usage. The ACCOLC was activated only in a 1 kilometer radius around Aldgate Tube Station because key emergency personnel did not have ACCOLC enabled mobile phones. The communication failures during the emergency sparked discussions to improve London's emergency communication system. For most of the day, central London's public transport system was largely out of service following the complete closure of the Underground, the closure of the Zone 1 bus network, and the evacuation of incident sites such as Russell Square. Bus services restarted at 4 p.m. on July 7th, and most mainline railway stations resumed service soon afterward. River vessels were pressed into service to provide a free alternative to overcrowded trains and buses. Local lifeboats were required to act as safety boats, including the Sheerness lifeboat from the Isle of Sheppey in Kent. Thousands of people chose to walk home or to the nearest Zone 2 bus or railway station, most of the Underground, apart from the stations affected by the bombs, resumed service the next morning. Though some commuters chose to stay at home, affected stretches were also closed for police investigations. Much of the King's Cross railway station was also closed, with the ticket hall and waiting area being used as a makeshift hospital to treat casualties. Although the station reopened later during the day, only suburban rail services were able to use it. With Great Northeastern Railway trains terminating at Peterborough, the service was fully restored on July 9th. King's Cross, St. Pancras, tube station remained available only to Metropolitan line services to facilitate the ongoing recovery and investigation for a week, though Victoria line services were restored on on July 15th and the Northern Line on July 18th. All of the damaged trains were removed in stages. St. Pancras Station, located next to King's Cross, was shut on the afternoon of the attacks, with all Midland mainland trains terminating at Leicester, causing disruption to services to Sheffield, Nottingham, and Derby. Excuse me. On July 25th, the Hammersmith and City line was reopened from Baker Street to Barking after the affected train was cleared at Aldgate. Together with the stretch from Moorgate to Aldgate of the Metropolitan line, the Hammersmith to Paddington's part of the Hammersmith and City line was a shuttle service after the bombings. On July 29th, the District line was reopened from High Street, Kensington, and Edgware Road after the affected train was cleared. On August 2nd, the Hammersmith and City line resumed normal service. The Circle line was still suspended, though all Circle's line stations are also served by other lines. The Piccadilly line service resumed on August 4th after the affected train was cleared on July 16th, and enhanced maintenance work was done. On August 4th, the Circle line was reopened again. List of emergency responses. The list below of the emergency services, police forces, and voluntary aid societies that responded to the bombings to assist with rescue, recovery, security, and scene control. London Ambulance Service response included motorcycle response units and cycle response units. Off-duty personnel also reported. London Air Ambulance, St. Cruz and rapid response vehicles, including paramedics and doctors. St. John Ambulance, England, St. Ambulances and medics. The British Red Cross sent ambulances and medics to the scene at the request of LAS. They also helped in the aftermath. London Fire Brigade, Metropolitan Police, British Transport Police responded to the tube station attacks, as well as Tavistock Square, and conducted mortuary security, rescue, and body recovery duties. And also City of London Police. These were limited reactions to the attack in the world economy. As measured by financial market and exchange rate activity, the value of the British pound decreased 89 cents to a 19th-month low against the U.S. dollar. The FTSE 100 index fell by about 200 points during the 2 hours after the first attack. This was its greatest decrease since the invasion of Iraq, and it triggered the London Stock Exchange. Special measures restricting panic selling and aimed at ensuring market stability. By the time the market closed, it had recovered to only 71.3 points, down on the previous 3-year closing high. Markets in France, Germany, the Netherlands, and Spain also closed about 1% down on the day. U.S. market indexes increased slightly, partly because the dollar index increased sharply against the pound and the euro. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 31.61 to the 10,302.29. The Nasdaq Composite Index increased 7.01 to 2,075.66. The S&P 500 increased 2.93 point to the 1,100 197.87. After decreasing as much as 1%, every benchmark value gained 0.3%. The market values increased again on July 8th as it became clear that the damage caused by the bombings was not as great as thought initially. By end of trading, the market had recovered fully to above its level at start of trading on July 7th. Insurers in the UK tend to reinsure their terrorist liabilities in excess of the first £75 million with pool rate, a mutual insurer established by the government with major insurers. Pool rate has substantial reserves, and newspaper reports indicate that claims would easily be funded. On July 9th, the Bank of England, HM Treasury, and the Financial Services Authority revealed that they had instigated contingency plans immediately after the attacks to ensure that the UK financial markets could keep trading. This involved the activation of a secret chat room of the British government's financial sector continuity website, which allowed the institutions to communicate with the country's banks and market dealers. Continuous coverage of the attack was broadcast through July 7th by both BBC One and ITV, uninterrupted until 7 p.m. Although the BBC stuck with initial reports of a power surge on the London Underground until actual events could be corroborated, Sky News did not broadcast any advertisements for 24 hours. Confirmed later that its coverage on ITV was its longest uninterrupted on-air news broadcast of its 50-year history. Television coverage was notable for the use of mobile telephone footage sent in by members of the public and live pictures from traffic CCTV cameras. The BBC online website recorded an all-time bandwidth peak at 11 gigabytes at midday on July 7th. BBC News received some 1 billion total accesses throughout the course of the day, serving some 5.5 terabytes of data. At peak times during the day, there were 40,000 page requests per second for the BBC News website. The previous day's announcement of the 2012 Summer Olympics being awarded to London resulted in up to 5 gigabytes a second. The previous all-time maximum for the website followed the announcement of the Michael Jackson verdict, which used 7.2 gigabytes a second. On July 12th, it was reported that the British National Party released leaflets showing images of the number 30 bus after it was destroyed. The slogan, "Maybe now it's time to start listening to the BNP," was printed beside the photo. Home Secretary Charles Clarke described it as an attempt by the BNP to cynically exploit the current tragic events in London to further their spread of hatred. Some media outside of UK complained that successive British governments had been unduly tolerant towards radical Islamist militants so long as they were involved in activities outside the UK. British-led reluctance and extradite or prosecute terrorist suspects resulted in London being dubbed Londonistan by the columnist Melanie Phillips. And we'll go ahead and just stop right there. And we might continue on for Wednesday if we have time. But for right now, we'll go ahead and take one more commercial break. And when we come back, we will be talking about the 83rd birthday to Ringo Starr. And we will do that right after we take time out for this, so don't go anywhere.
The name Progresso means progress in Italian, but we don't put too much progress in our soup. Where we come from, you don't fool around with a classic soup recipe, which is why our minestrone is still a classic. We still think chicken noodle soup should be more chicken than noodle. That may not be progress, but it's delicious. It's not that Progresso is against progress. It's just that too much progress would spoil the Progresso.
Every 2 seconds, somebody bangs up a car. Making him look like new again keeps 185,000 auto body specialists on the job. At Apex Tech, we have a training program to get you ready for this kind of work in 6 months. The latest unibody frame straightening equipment. We show you how to operate it. Auto glass, welding. You learn by working alongside a professional. Precision grinding and finishing. Finally, painting and pinstriping. Not many jobs give you the satisfaction of seeing your finished product. Now tell me, is there any part of this you think you couldn't learn? Give us a call now, and we'll pick out a time, day or evening, for you to come in to our shops in person, talk about job placement and what kind of financial help from the government you may be entitled to towards your training, and look over the professional tools you get to keep when you finish your training. 924-7373. Give us a call. Our switchboard is open now.
Make your home the showplace of your neighborhood. At last, a beautiful house that's really maintenance-free. Garden State Brick Face is 3 layers of tough, steel-reinforced cement that will seal and insulate your home. Brick face, stucco, or stone face. Our skilled craftsmen will create a beautiful, customized, maintenance-free exterior on your home. Call now for a free estimate.
For a free estimate, call 1-800-228-6600. Call now, or look us up in the yellow pages under brick.
It happens every day in the tri-state area, rain or shine. Our people get ready and open the doors. We're your neighbors, family, friends. Our kids go to school with your kids. We're not a national chain store. We're your hometown store. And it matters to us how you're treated, because we want you to come back time after time and year after year. PC Richard & Son, family owned and operated for 104 years, and here for you always.
Beat the heat! Beat the heat with a fan or air conditioner from Crazy Eddie. Get the guaranteed lowest sale prices anywhere on electric fans and air conditioners. It's going to be a long, hot summer, and the prices of electric fans and air conditioners are going to go up, up, up with the temperature. So get an electric fan or air conditioner on sale from Crazy Eddie now. Shop around, get the lowest sale prices you can find, then go to Crazy Eddie and he'll beat them. So be cool and beat the heat. See Crazy Eddie now. His prices are insane.
So then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm flattered that you love chocolate, but I'm here strictly in a professional. What's wrong with him? He thinks you're naked. My shell is brown. It just looks like my milk chocolate is showing. Only a fool would think I'd actually show up naked.
So it's that kind of party. Hit it!
I'm sexy and I know it. Aye. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out. Wiggle, 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 yeah.
Hey, Herbert Fisher. Have you met Herb Grant?
Herb Grant, Tacoma.
Herb's in the plumbing business.
Yeah, I'm all backed up.
Herb, you know these bums? Herb Riddick, Herb Kaplan.
Hi.
So, the wife and kids are good? Herb Jr.'s almost 12. Whoa, next thing you know, there'll be a Herbert Jr. Jr.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
And it is 6:30 right now for back to DMS 3000 News Live for July 7th, 2023, episode number 18. And once again, I am Brandon Martin, and we'll wrap up the show with a happy 83rd birthday to Ringo Starr. Sir Richard Starkey, known professionally as Ringo Starr, is an English musician, songwriter, and actor who achieved international fame as the drummer for the Beatles, Starr occasionally sang lead vocals with the group, usually for one song of each album, including Yellow Submarine and With a Little Help from My Friends. He also wrote and sang the Beatles songs Don't Pass Me By and Octopus's Garden, and is credited as a co-writer of 4 others. Starr was afflicted by life-threatening illnesses during childhood, with periods of prolonged hospitalization. He briefly held a position with British Rail before securing an apprenticeship as a machinist at a Liverpool school equipment manufacturer. Soon afterwards, Starr became interested in the UK's skiffle craze and developed a fervent admiration for the genre. In 1957, he co-founded his first band, the Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group, which earned several prestigious local bookings before the fad succumbed to American rock and roll around early 1958. When the Beatles formed in 1960, Starr was a member of another Liverpool group, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. After achieving moderate success in the UK and Hamburg, he quit the Hurricanes when he asked to join the Beatles in August 1962, replacing Pete Best. In addition to the Beatles films, Starr has acted in numerous others. After the band's breakup in 1970, he released several successful singles, including his US Top 10 hit, It Don't Come Easy, and number one's Photograph and You're 16. His most successful UK single was Back Off Boogaloo, which peaked at number 2. He achieved commercial and critical success with his 1973 album, Ringo, which was a top 10 release in both the UK and the US. Starr has featured in numerous documentaries, hosted television shows, narrated the first 2 series of the children's television program, Thomas and Friends, and portrayed Mr. Conductor during the first season of PBS children's television series, Shining Time Station. Since 1989, he has toured with 13 variations of Ringo Starr and his all-star band. Starr's playing style, which emphasized feel over technical virtuosity, influenced many drummers to reconsider their playing from a compositional perspective. He also influenced various modern drumming techniques, such as the match grip, tuning the drums lower, and using muffling devices on tonal rings. In his opinion, his finest recorded performance was on the Beatles' Rain. In 1999, he was inducted into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame. In 2011, Rolling Stone readers named him the 5th greatest drummer of all time. He was inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, as a Beatle in 1988 and as a solo artist in 2015, and appointed a Night Bachelor in the 2018 New Year Honors for services to music. In 2020, he was cited as the wealthiest drummer in the world with a net worth of $350 million. Richard Starkey was born on July 7, 1940 at, we're not going to give out the name, but it's in Dingle, an inner city area of Liverpool. He is the only child of confectioners Richard Starkey and Elsie Lee. Elsie enjoyed singing and dancing, a hobby that she shared with her husband, an avid fan of swing, prior to the birth of their son, whom they called Richie. The couple had spent much of their free time on the local ballroom circuit, but their regular outings ended soon after his birth. Elsie adopted an overprotective approach to raising her son that bordered of vexation. Subsequently, Big Richie, as Starkey's father became known, lost interest in his family, choosing instead to spend long hours drinking and dancing in pubs, sometimes for several consecutive days. In an effort to reduce their housing costs, his family moved in 1944 to another neighborhood in the Dingle Admiral Grove. Soon afterwards, his parents separated and they divorced within the year. Starkey later stated that he has no real memories of his father, who made little effort to bond with him, visiting as few as 3 times thereafter. Elsie found it difficult to survive on her ex-husband's support payments of 30 shillings a week. So, she took on several menial jobs cleaning houses before securing a position as a barmaid, an occupation that she held for 12 years. At the age of 6, Starkey developed appendicitis. Following a routine appendectomy, he contracted peritonitis, causing him to fall in a coma that lasted days. His recovery spanned 12 months, which he spent away from his family at Liverpool's Myrtle Street Children's Hospital. Upon his discharge in May 1948, his mother allowed him to stay at home, causing him to miss school. At age 8, he remained illiterate with a poor grasp of mathematics. His lack of education contributed to a feeling of alienation of twice weekly tutoring from his surrogate sister and neighbor, Marie Maguire Crawford. Starkey had nearly caught up to his peers academically, but in 1953, he contracted tuberculosis and was admitted to a sanatorium where he remained for 2 years. During his stay, the medical staff made an effort to stimulate motor activity and relieve boredom by encouraging their patients to join the hospital band, leading to his first exposure to a percussion instrument, a makeshift mallet made from a cotton bobbin that he used to strike the cabinets next to his bed. Soon afterwards, he grew increasingly interested in drumming, receiving a copy of Alan Ainsworth's song Bedtime for Drums. As a convalescence gift from Crawford, Starkey commented, I was in the hospital band. That's where I really started playing. I never wanted anything else. From there on, my grandparents gave me a mandolin and a banjo, but I didn't want them. My grandfather gave me a harmonica. We had a piano. Nothing. Only the drums. Starkey attended St. Silas, a Church of England primary school near his house, where his classmates nicknamed him Lazarus, and later Dingle Vale Secondary Modern School, where he showed an aptitude for art and drama, as well as practical subjects, including mechanics. As a result of the prolonged hospitalizations, he fell behind his peers scholastically and was ineligible for the 11-plus qualifying examination required for attendance at a grammar school. On April 17, 1954, Starkey's mother married Harry Graves at the register office on Mount Pleasant, Liverpool. He was an ex-Londoner who had moved to Liverpool following the failure of his first marriage. Graves, an impassioned fan of big band music and their vocalists, introduced Starkey to recordings of Dinah Shore, Sarah Vaughan, and Billy Daniels. Graves stated that he and Ritchie never had an unpleasant exchange between them. Starkey later commented, "He was great. I learned gentleness from Harry after the extended hospital stay following Starkey's recovery from tuberculosis. He did not return to school, preferring instead to stay at home and listen to music while playing along by beating biscuit tins with sticks." Beale's biographer Bob Spitz described Starkey's upbringing as a Dickensian chronicle of misfortune. Houses in the area were poorly ventilated, postage stamp sized, patched together by crumbling plaster walls. With a rear door that opened onto an outhouse, Crawford commented, "Like all of the families who lived in the dingle, he was part of an outgoing struggle to survive. The children who lived there spent much of their time at Prince's Park, escaping the soot-filled air and of their coal-fueled neighborhood. Adding their difficult circumstances, violent crime was an almost constant concern for people living in one of the oldest and poorest inner city districts in Liverpool." Starkey later commented, "You kept your head down, your eyes open, and you didn't get in anybody's way." After his return home from the sanatorium in late 1955, Starkey entered the workforce but was lacking in motivation and discipline. His initial attempts at gainful employment proved unsuccessful. In an effort to secure himself some warm clothes, he briefly held a railway worker's job with British Rail, which came with an employer-issued suit. He was supplied with a hat but no uniform and unable to pass the physical examination. He was laid off and granted unemployment benefits. He then found work as a waiter serving drinks on a day boat that traveled from Liverpool to North Wales, but his fear of conscription into military service led him to quit the job. Not wanting to give the Royal Navy the impression that he was suitable for seafaring work, in mid-1956, Graves secured Starkey a position as an apprentice machinist at Henry Hunt and Son, a Liverpool school equipment manufacturer. While working at the facility, Starkey befriended Roy Trafford, and the two bonded over their shared interest in music. Trafford introduced Starkey to skiffle, and he became quickly a fervent admirer. Soon after Trafford piqued Starkey's interest in skiffle, the two began rehearsing songs in the manufacturing plant cellar during their lunch breaks. Trafford recalled, "I play guitar, and Ritchie just made a noise on a box. Sometimes he just slapped a biscuit tin with some keys or banged on the backs of chairs." The pair were joined by Starkey's neighbor and co-worker, the guitarist Eddie Miles, forming the Eddie Miles Band, later renamed Eddie Clayton and the Clayton Squares, after a Liverpool landmark. The band performed popular skiffle songs such as Rock Island Line and Walking Cane, with Starkey raking a thimble across a washboard, creating primitive driving rhythms. Starkey enjoyed dancing as his parents had years earlier, and he and Trafford briefly took dance lessons at two schools. Though the lessons were short-lived, they provided Starkey and Trafford with an introduction that allowed them to dance competently compensably while enjoying nights out on the town. On Christmas Day, 1957, Graves gave Starkey a second-hand drum kit consisting of a snare drum, bass drum, and a makeshift cymbal fashioned from a rubbish bin lid. Although basic and crude, the kit facilitated his progression as a musician while increasing the commercial potential of the Eddie Clayton Band, who went on to book prestigious local gigs before the skiffle craze faded in early 1958 as American rock and roll became popular in the UK. In November 1959, Starkey joined Al Caldwell's Texans, a skiffle group who were looking for someone with a proper drum kit so that the group could transition from one of Liverpool's best-known skiffle acts to a full-fledged rock and roll band. They had begun playing local clubs as the Raging Texans, then Jetstorm and the Raging Texans before settling on Rory Storm and the Hurricanes shortly before recruiting Starkey. About this time, he adopted the stage name Ringo Starr, derived from the rings he wore and also because it implied a country and western influence. His drum solos were billed at Star time. By early 1960, the Hurricanes had become one of Liverpool's leading bands. In May, they were offered a 3-month residency at a Butlins holiday camp in Wales. Although initially reluctant to accept the residency and end his 5-year missionist apprenticeship that he had begun 4 years earlier, Starr eventually agreed to the arrangement. The Butlins gig led to other opportunities for the band, including an unpleasant tour of U.S. Air Force bases in France, in which Starr commented, "The French don't like the British. At least I didn't like them." The Hurricanes became so successful that when initially offered a highly coveted residency in Hamburg, they turned down because of their prior commitment with Butlins. They eventually accepted joining the Beatles at Bruno Koch-Meyer's Kaiser Keller on October 1st, 1960, where Starr first met the band. Storm's Hurricanes were given top billing over the Beatles, who also received less pay. Starr performed with the Beatles during a few stand-in engagements while in Hamburg on October 15, 1960. He drummed with John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison, recording with them for the first time while backing Hurricanes singer Lou Walters. On the George Gershwin / Dubois Hayward aria Summertime, during Starr's first day in Hamburg, he also met Tony Sheridan, who valued his drumming abilities to the point of asking Starr to leave the Hurricanes and join his band. All right. Even though we didn't get much to the rest of the stories and all that, but we did a good amount of one Ringo Starr. So we may continue it on Wednesday. Who knows? But we will have to wait and find out if we continue on. Like say the same thing with the London bombings. We continue from there. I know there's a lot, but that will have to wait till this coming Wednesday. But with that is going to do it for episode. This is number 18, yes. Number 18 of the DMS 3000 News Live. And coming up in about 10 minutes will be Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. And probably coming up later in the program we will be having the following, which will be many other programs that will be here on the David 3000 Network. Okay, there it is. Making sure get all that corrected. Hit that pause button. Yep, okay. Got the Brian Snow Show, potentially, and then we'll wrap up with Jay's Retro Toys and Games. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to send in your topic that you want us to talk about on the show, please feel free to do so. DM myself or Jason DeCanio, and we'll talk about it on the program. And of course, please like the video, leave a comment, and if you're brand new to the David 3000 Network, make sure to subscribe and also hit that notification bell on your YouTube app so you'll never miss an upload or a live stream. And with that, even though you'll get to see me again on Wednesday, but you'll get to see Jason DeCanio this coming Monday and Tuesday. So with that, have a great weekend, everybody, and you'll see me on Wednesday. You'll see Jason DeCanio this coming Monday and Tuesday. So I'll hand that back over to Jason to start off the work week. So with that, have a great morning, everybody. Goodbye, everyone.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Democratizing Network for great more content like this one.